Get to the chopper now! If you're going to be searching for affordable RC cars, we have many different editions now. This is in 1/10 scale with 2.4 GHz. It comes with full function. However, we have tested out all kinds of different models. Only downside I've noticed with these particular, let's say, affordable cheap ones, that the full motion everything works fine. But when you're going to be looking at the batteries, you know, when it comes to these tiny RC cars, yeah, it's going to be great. But with 1/10 scale, yeah, you're going to be having a little bit of a situation that the batteries are not giving enough power to the motor. However, with this brand new edition from the Action, I have noticed they are using now a 7.4 volt charging battery, or in other words, we have rechargeable situation. We can just plug it into a USB. In other words, you can use a USB charger, a normal one, and I think it's pretty cool because now we can actually have a very easy overall configuration. You don't need to swap and search for, let's say, batteries, because the batteries, like, not like super expensive, but the overall configuration with a rechargeable battery is more convenient. And of course, do we actually getting better performance? So let's open it up and let's take a close look at it. So another thing I do wonder is, like, can we get ourselves like replaceable batteries? So the Action store has a lot of these RC cars, but when it comes to spare parts, I have no idea. Maybe they should actually open up a store for maybe spare parts, you know, like if they're going to be selling more and more of these RC cars. It seems to be like they're not using the ZD trading like importer anymore. They're having their own import. And yeah, the Action sells so much stuff from China. And nowadays they are going to be importing their own kind of RC cars. So when it comes to the similarities of the previous ones, it's going to be similar. I'm guessing this box over here will contain the lithium. I think it's not like in lithium. No, I think it's like an old school technology. And they're going to be having the option to actually like recharge it. And I think that is going to be absolutely the next thing. I was actually like telling about, like, say, these battery situation all the time. And it seems to be, or I have the idea they're actually listening to me, because now we do have like the rechargeable. The remote is actually the same situation with micro switch when it comes to acceleration brake and the steering configuration. So when it comes to the wheel itself, I did notice like the difference is that some of them will have actually a lot of, let's say, wiggle room between the two micro switches, giving an idea that will have a little bit on, let's say, it's going to be having a situation that we do have like a little bit of a delay, or it feels like it. So if they're going to be having micro switches, I must say that I'm not the biggest fan of it, but yeah, for the money, I think we cannot complain. This thing does have some suspension, and the overall configuration of the suspension is pretty cool. Everything is made out of plastic, but that's what to expect from this price point. I think it's pretty cool to have like, yeah, it's kind of cool that it actually looks like this, you know, like the way the expansion works and everything. So yeah, that's kind of cool. It's just simple. The steering itself is interesting. They're using the spring for actually communicating with the servo in the inside for the left and right situation. So it's kind of interesting to see that how they configure this. So the overall wheel configuration, you can see there is something going on the inside where there's not like a fixed axle in the inside. So that is pretty cool for a price point of this. So I think it's going to be an overall better drivable configuration when you're going to be looking at some cheap stuff that we have checked out before. So let's assemble the battery and let's see what is going on with this. So I'm guessing the overall connection. Let's see, this is the charger. And yeah, I'm guessing if you're going to be looking into AliExpress, you can maybe find these batteries anyway. So the plug, I don't know if it's a common plug, I'm guessing it is. I am not familiar with this. So the overall, let's say, here we're going to be lithium ion battery, 3.7 watts per hour. Okay, so this is an interesting configuration, 7.4 voltages. So the voltage itself, so I do wonder, like, there is some room inside of this thing. If you can find a bigger one, you can find a couple of them. I think that's kind of cool. So if like 4 or 5 batteries, what you can do is just charge them and have a lot of fun with driving around for a very long time. But I think if you're going to be looking at, let's say, if you're going to be charging them and also driving around, I think it will always, I was saying that going to be canceling them out, because if you're going to be looking at how long this takes, yeah, I think it will take up a couple of hours actually to load up one of these, let's say, batteries. So yeah. It's a very simple solution. You can plug it in. You can see over here, LED will turn on if it's going to be start charging, and that's it. It's like super easy, plug and play. They didn't do any modifications to the battery compartment, so, or I mean, like, there is a massive amount of space. So I think it's even a possibility to upgrade it. So let's turn everything off. Let's plug in the battery. It has been charging for quite a long time now. You can see there's a lot of room for wiggling. Whatever, like, it's a positive thing because we can put in a bigger battery if you want to. Okay, let's turn it on. And everything seems to be working just fine. So what is very convenient if you're turning on the remote, I think if you have 2 or 3 of these things, it will automatically connect to a certain car. So you need to actually connect or turn them on and off in a certain order. So let's close it up and let's give this thing a spin. So one of the things I already noticed, if you want to do a little bit of an acceleration, this thing is not going to be super fast. So this is not like really an indoor car because it's, in my opinion, way too big. So this is something we're going to be trying out outside. It's still like daylight, so we just want to check it out. You can bash into stuff because it does have like this massive front fender or bumper that's actually having and will actually take a hit. So, but still you need to be very careful. I think a combination of the speed itself, because these things are not like super fast, you don't need to be afraid if it's going to be something breaking. You can jump from, let's say, minor, let's say, different kind of levels, but don't expect too much from it. So if you're going to be moving into the gravel, you can see that it does need a little bit of an, let's say, impact on the tiles or on normal steady ground, because after going into the grass you can see that it actually slows down, and I think it's a little bit of a disappointment because I was hoping to have like a better, more powerful battery in the inside. And you know, some people actually say that you can change it out with different kind of types. I will not actually do that, but again, this is one of the things that you need to take consideration. It actually does come from a place when it comes into the grass. That is an improvement, because with, let's say, the ones with normal batteries inside, this thing was so freaking slow. But again, like, this is like a beginner RC car. If you just want to get used to the overall configuration, this thing can be fun. Where this thing is looking like really cool with an off-road situation, one thing is for sure, you're not going to be driving this thing into the forest with different kind of hills and everything, because this thing is just not that powerful. Where it looks like a super off-the-road device in combination with a scale of 1 to 10, I think this is just a fun overall solution. And again, it's a fun thing actually to mess around with, but I think I will get bored with it very quickly, with a simple reason: this thing is looking very cool. Oh, it's already getting stuck. Look at this. It's already stuck. But the point is that you're going to be having an overall, let's say, very cool situation with playing around with it. But yeah, I must say that actually making this video, I was already getting a little bit bored, with a simple reason, because this thing is so slow. And I think with an off-road buggy or monster truck, it's just that fun to actually mess around and just go into the forest and do some crazy jumping. Let's drive back into the studio and let's have some fun. Okay, that seems to be working just fine. Cool. However, so when you're going to be looking at this particular device, it's an improvement that we do have like a rechargeable battery. It makes it so much more convenient. How many cycles it actually like has, I have no idea. There's no information about it. But then again, it would be cool if like multiple of these batteries, so we can just, and in combination with chargers if we can, because this way we can just easily like charge a couple of them, because it will give you, let's say, a little bit of time of racing around, messing with it. But take consideration, there are still like giving not like a massive lifespan. The Monster Wheel is a pretty cool RC car for beginners. If you just want to mess around with it, you don't want to spend tons of money, this can be a fun thing to actually buy. But again, like, it's purely for just like steady overall like tiles or normal road, but not like an off-road. It's kind of weird because this thing is actually an off-road model. Thank you all for watching, and join me on the channel, and I will see you in the next video.